In this video, we will walk you through how employees can add expense reports to Peakflo. Employees can easily add expense reports in Peakflo's user-friendly interface, which streamlines the reimbursement process and ensures accurate record keeping. How to add an expense report? Log in as an employee or submitter and go to the Reports tab under Travel and Expense in the navigation menu. New: the expense reports that are in draft mode and are not yet submitted. Pending approval: the expense reports that are pending approval. Scheduled: the expense reports are approved but are pending reimbursement. Failed: the expense reports that are approved but failed the reimbursement processing. Paid: the expense reports that are approved and successfully processed for reimbursement. All: view all the expense reports irrespective of status and creator. Sort and filter: by default, the most recently created expense report will appear at the top. You can verify the date of creation in the Created At column. You can sort your reports by creator, date, status, or any other relevant parameter to quickly locate the information you need. Additionally, you can apply filters to narrow down your search results and focus on specific sets of data. Then click on the Add New button to add a new expense report. In the Expense Report Info tab, fill out the details. Expense report type: select whether the expense report type is travel or non-travel. Expense report name: add a name for the expense report. Scheduled date: the date that the expense report can be scheduled for payment. Approval policy: this field is the appropriate approval policy for the expense report. The policy can be added automatically based on the approval workflow. This policy can only be edited by the employees if the permissions have been given in the Travel Policy section. Employee name: enter the employee name. Account number: once you add the employee name, the count number will also get updated automatically based on the employee account details. Expense report amount: the system will automatically add all the expense amounts and show the sum here once all the expenses are added to the report. Payment method: select the mode of payment. In the Expenses tab, you can either click on Add Unreported Expenses to select the expenses for the expense report, or create a new expense manually by clicking on Add New Expense. Once an expense is added to an expense report, it will disappear from the unreported expense list. Expenses once added to an expense report cannot be further added to another expense report. The expense will be added, and the receipt will appear in the attachment section. If the receipt amount does not match the expense amount, Peakflo will detect the inconsistency, and the system will show an error. You will then have to click on the Edit icon on the top right to resubmit the correct receipt. You can add multiple expenses to an expense report by clicking on the Add New Expense button or Add on Reported Expenses. Peakflo can handle multiple attachments, allowing you to easily view all attachments associated with each expense. Once all the information is filled out, click on the Save and Submit button to complete the process. Then your expense report can be sent for approvals. How to create expense reports from expenses. From the Expense tab, choose the expense or expenses that you'd like to create expense reports from. Then click on Bulk Action, and then click on Create Expense Report. Add the mandatory fields and check the details. Then hit the Save button. How to edit expense reports. Log in as an employee or submitter and go to the Reports tab under Travel and Expense in the navigation menu. Click on the expense report you want to edit. You can check the expense report details and from the Info, Items, and Timeline tab. For editing the expense report, click on the three-dot icon. Click on the Edit option to make modifications to the expense report. How to delete an expense report. Log in as an employee submitter and go to the Reports tab under Expense in the navigation menu. Click on the expense report you want to delete. Click on the three-dot icon. Click on the Delete option to remove the expense report. How to send an expense report for approval. Click on the expense report. Then click on the Send for Approval button. Based on the assigned approval policy, the approvers will be notified immediately. For more information, check out our help portal at help.peakflo.co or send us an email to support@peakflo.co